Hey everyone, it's Alex, the real Mr. Robinson, and I'm here to do a different sort of video. I don't normally do video game reviews because I mainly do Let's Plays, but I decided to voice my opinions on Star Wars Battlefront, the new, basically relaunch of the Star Wars game series from EA and DICE, because there's been a lot of back and forth on how people feel about this game. So I just figured to share my own opinion. The last Star Wars Battlefront game that came out that people really played a lot and got into was Battlefront 2 10 years ago on the Xbox and PlayStation 2. So you can imagine that a lot of people were excited for this new game to come out and basically improve on what was shown to us before. Well, there's some good. I mean, a lot of good to this game, in fact. One thing, it looks fantastic. The graphics made me understand the true power of the PlayStation 4 because it looks and feels just like the movies. You really feel like you're on Tatooine, Hoth, Endor, Sullust. It's such a beautiful looking game. Like, you can see all the details in the weapons, the stormtrooper helmets, the dirt, the snow. Like, the snow sparkles at times. They have all the iconic sound effects for the blasters, the starships, the sounds of the AT-AT legs moving. It's all so well done. The controls are great. Basically, it's a shooter game. You have the option to switch between third person or first person. I find myself using third person more often than first person because it's a little easier, and plus, my experience of playing Battlefront 2 a lot is a key factor for my decision to choose third person. First person is fun because it really puts you in the game, but it can be a little tricky sometimes. Shooting stormtroopers or rebel soldiers feels really good, and you really feel the impact of the guns when you fire them. There are a lot of unique guns. You have the E11 Stormtrooper rifle, you have the standard Rebel Soldier rifle, you have Han Solo's blaster, Boba Fett's blaster, a couple of heavy blasters, some pistols. All the weapons feel really good. They even have the Jawa ion gun that's used as a shotgun, which seems useless at first, but you have to take into account that it's for short range. So it works like a shotgun. One other feature that this game has are star cards. Basically, you can customize your secondary weapons and your hand. Like, for example, you have a thermal detonator, you have a scout pistol, ion grenades, sniper rifles, jump packs, and then for abilities, you have ion shots, personal shield, focus fire, all of these little additions that'll help you kick ass on the battlefield. And I felt this game has a lot more multiplayer modes than the first two Battlefront games, which is welcome. The big cherry on top of it all is Walker Assault. This is the mode that I play the most. It's the most enjoyable. Basically, you're the rebels of the Empire. The rebels have to turn on these uplinks to call in Y-Wing Strike that will help take down the damage of the AT-ATs. Once the AT-ATs are destroyed, you win. But as the Imperials, you're trying to keep the rebels from turning on the uplink so the AT-ATs can make their destination and successfully destroy the target.
That is the end of Skywalker.
The next mode I play a lot of is Fighter Squadron. This is a vehicle-exclusive mode where you pilot either an X-Wing or A-Wing if you're on the Rebel side, or a TIE Fighter and a TIE Interceptor. I find that the Rebels seem to win more often than the Imperials because the X-Wings and A-Wings are shielded, but you can also play as the Millennium Falcon or the Slave One if you get a hero pickup, and those things kick a lot of ass, even if the Falcon can be cheap at some points. Supremacy is a mode that I feel mixed about. It has that same feeling that the first two Battlefronts had where you had to control a command post, but this time around, it's basically a pull and a push. The Rebels and the Empire are trying to capture these 5 control points, and whoever controls all of them first or controls the most by the time the timer runs out, you win. But it's really irritating because you have to keep pushing forward and pulling back. It's a mode that I, honestly, if there was any reason to play it, it's because of the large maps, but you're better off playing Walker Assault with the large maps. Blast is a standard team deathmatch. Basically, each side has to kill 100 enemies or get the most kills before time runs out. There's nothing much to add about that. Cargo is a standard capture the flag. Basically, there's 2 pieces of cargo on each side of the map. You have to take that cargo to your base, and you get a point. And if your opponent takes it to their base, you lose a point, and they gain one. So the point system in this mode is kind of like push and pull again. And whoever captures the most cargo before time runs out, or makes it to 10 points, wins.
Secure the cargo.
Drop Zone is a mode where you have to capture these escape pods, and whoever captures 5 escape pods by the end of the round wins. There's not much else to say about that mode again. Droid Run is kind of like Supremacy in a way, where you have to capture these little command posts. In this case, they're little gonk droids walking around the entire stage, and I actually prefer this over Supremacy because you're on a smaller map, you have free roam across the map, you're not restricted, you don't have to pull back or push forward like in Supremacy, and I feel that's the mode that's the closest to what Conquest was in the first 2 Battlefront games. Hero Hunt is a 7 against 1 mode where 7 troopers fight 1 hero. 1 player is picked to be the hero on an opposing side. And basically, you have to get the most points in each match, and if you get the most points by the end of the match, you win. And during these matches, whenever a hero is killed, whoever kills that hero becomes the next hero in the circle. So say if somebody kills Han Solo, that person becomes Princess Leia. Or if you kill Princess Leia, you get to be Luke Skywalker. Heroes vs. Villains is a 6-on-6 match that features all the heroes and villains so far in the game. 3 players are soldiers, and the other 3 players are the heroes and villains. Basically, you have to knock out all the heroes or villains to win the match, and whoever wins 5 matches wins the entire game.
Confirmed. All of them are defeated. Good work.
Turning Point is a mode that is exclusive to the planet of Jakku, and it's like Supremacy, except you only push forward. Basically, the rebels are trying to push the Imperials back from Jakku, and if they push the Imperials to the edge of the map, they win. But if the Imperials manage to hold their ground, they win. This is a much better mode than Supremacy, I think, though it is a bummer that it's only exclusive to Jakku. One thing that this game has are pickups. Throughout the battlefield, you encounter these little, basically power-ups that give you a special weapon, like a probe droid, special grenade called the thermal imploder, bubble shield for your teammates, or the pickups can be used to call in vehicles, like you can call in an X-Wing, a TIE Fighter, an AT-ST, you could get in the head of an AT-AT. These pickups are fun to get. My favorite is the thermal imploder because, hey, that sound effect is awesome. And it's a neat way to handle the vehicles, rather than everyone rushing to one vehicle that's just sitting there in the battlefield, and it keeps the enemy team from stealing another vehicle.
Enemy fighter is locked in on you.
And then throughout some of the battlefields, there are hero pickups, where you pick up the hero icon and you choose between the 3 heroes that are available. For the Rebels, it's Luke, Han, and Leia. For the Empire, it's Darth Vader, the Emperor, and Boba Fett. Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are your standard Jedi. They both wield lightsabers, but Luke is a little more quick and nimble, while Darth Vader is slow, but acts more powerful. Luke's abilities are Force Push and Lightsaber Rush, and Darth Vader throws his lightsaber and Force chokes his opponent.
Don't get in my way.
Boba Fett is probably the best hero to use because he can fly, he has long-range weapons, including his blaster rifle and missiles. His flamethrower replaces a melee attack, which can work when you're surrounded by multiple enemies that aren't heroes.
I only take orders from one person. Me.
Han Solo is very quick. He's got his trademark blaster pistol, he's very fast, and he has a special mode where you can just rapidly tap the trigger to shoot his blaster, and it's really good for taking out other heroes in the snap of a finger. The Emperor sucks. He doesn't wield a lightsaber like he did in Battlefront 2. All he depends on is Force Lightning. The one advantage if you're playing as a regular soldier, when the Emperor's on the battlefield, shock troopers are allowed on the battlefield. They're a little more powerful, have rocket launchers and smart rockets for enemy units, and they're pretty awesome. Princess Leia is the hero that is based around teamwork. She has a bubble shield. A lot of her quotes are basically inspirations for other troops. She can spawn pickups for other players, and you can play as an honor guard whenever she's on the battlefield. And basically, they're kind of the same as the shock trooper, and more powerful than the regular rebel soldiers. So it sounds like this is a pretty awesome game, right? Well, it's got problems, and half of the problems that I have to say are aimed towards EA's greedy business decisions. For one thing, there's no campaign mode. I think I've said this from my Let's Play of the first Battlefront, But I said that the campaign modes in the first two games were so weak that I didn't mind a campaign mode not being in the new Battlefront. Famous last words, because without a campaign mode, this game does feel very lacking. There is a single player mode, which is called Missions, but it's not too great. Training mode is confusing in the sense that you don't create a campaign for this game, but you give cutscenes to these modes.
The rebels have established a base on the far side of our perimeter.
And the training mode at points can be helpful, but at other times it's just like you're better off learning the game as you play the multiplayer. And that's another problem. There's no local multiplayer. It's all online, which is a trend that I don't like about the gaming industry today. It seems that every game that comes out that features multiplayer has to be online only. With the exception of Nintendo games like Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros., it seems like the gaming industry has lost the confidence to make local multiplayer games. When my brother was in town and we played the game, we were disappointed that we couldn't play the same online multiplayer match together in the same room. And I gotta say, one of the more useless things in the game are the speeder bikes. The speeder bikes are the only vehicles that don't require a pickup. You actually have to rush to it and fight for it. But they only appear on the Endor map, and because the large maps are so restricting at points, it's hard to really do much with the speeder bikes. The only time you'll ever get to use the speeder bike is in the Endor Chase training mode, which admittedly is fun, and reinforces my statement that if I ever drove one of these, I'd be dead in less than a second. In the missions mode, there are also battles. You have two sets of battles on each of the 4 planets that you get at the start of the game. One set allows you to play as Rebel or Imperial infantry, and the other set allows you to play as the heroes. It's a simple confirmed kill, where you go around, kill enemies, and capture little coins so you can confirm the kill. And if your allies get killed, you capture their coins to deny the opponent's kills. It's like a mode we've seen in a game like Black Ops, and it's something that really could have been in the multiplayer mode. Survival is the best mode in missions. It's just a horde mode where you fight off waves of Imperials. I would have liked the option to fight off waves of Rebels, or just to have it be unlimited waves. Some of the customizations are a little strange, most notably the ability to play as a stormtrooper without the helmet. At first I thought it was like, oh, you know what, that's kind of cool that you could play as a stormtrooper without the helmet, but you know, the more I thought about it, it's like you could have different helmet customizations, you could have different helmets with different paint jobs, like markings. It would be much better than playing as stormtroopers without helmets, because there's just something about a stormtrooper that when you play as it, you want to play it with a helmet on, because the helmets for the stormtroopers look so cool. And whenever I play a match and I find somebody on my team who has their helmet off, I'm just like, put your goddamn helmet back on. So it's something that I think DICE really dropped the ball on when it came to the Imperial customizations. Oh, and one more gripe I have about customizations. The bowcaster should not be a side hand, it should be a main weapon. If I were to nitpick about something else in the game, there's something that doesn't sound right about Darth Vader's voice.
Your choice leads only to suffering. Exactly what you deserved. Just another traitor dealt with. Witness the power of the Force.
It sounds like the guy who does the voice for Darth Vader in stuff like The Force Unleashed, but there's something in this game about his voice that just doesn't sound right.
Mercy is for the weak.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but I hope I'm not alone in this case. Now, I think a lot of the criticisms for this game come from the decisions that EA has made in terms of releasing this game. And I think it's kind of unfair because when you look at it, it is a very well-made game with some issues. It's not a flawless game by any means, but at the same time, it does feel lacking. The lack of a campaign mode makes it feel more like the multiplayer bonus disc that you find in a game. Like, for example, Halo ODST came out. That had one disc that was the main game, and then another disc that was additional Halo 3 multiplayer. Battlefront feels like they sold us the multiplayer disc for a game that we can't see, and probably will never see. And the Season Pass is something that kills me. It's $50, which is completely criminal. No season pass should ever be that expensive, especially for a $60 game, and a $60 game that feels lacking in many areas. Let's look at Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. That game is an add-on to Red Dead Redemption. It's not a little side quest that you find in the main game, it's its own thing. And that thing was much cheaper than the season pass for Battlefront, which just adds all of the stuff that should have been in the original release. It is absolutely pathetic that we have to pay $110 just to get the full game. It is absolutely criminal. So for the people who say they won't give money to Star Wars Battlefront just because of that aspect, then hey, I completely understand. But to say the game is an absolute piece of shit, or that you will never play it, even if you're over at a friend's house, that's absurd. Because, again, it is a well-made game. It's just all the business decisions that EA's made are ludicrous, and I can see that ruining people's intentions for this game. So in the end, I think Star Wars Battlefront is a really fun shooter with amazing graphics that capture the essence of Star Wars perfectly. A lot of varied modes when you compare to the first two Battlefront games, and it is admittedly fun to play. And even though for me personally, the positives outweigh the negatives, it's super hard to recommend this game because it is kind of lacking in features. So I'll say if you're a real hardcore Star Wars fan, then you should definitely get this game. Because like I said, it captures that feeling of Star Wars perfectly, and it is a lot of fun to play. But if you're a regular gamer and not much of a Star Wars fan, I would suggest waiting till you get this at the bargain bin. Because when you buy it, you don't have to pay $60, and if you get the season pass, you don't have to pay a total of $110. Now, obviously, they're going to make more Battlefront games, so I've made a list of 5 things I want to see in a future Battlefront game. Number 1, campaign mode. Even though Battlefront and Battlefront 2 didn't necessarily have great campaign modes, the fact that they had them makes the game feel a little more complete. And I'd like a little more substance than just regular multiplayer throughout the whole game. Which brings me to number 2. Don't make all the multiplayer stuff online only. I hate that with the exception of Nintendo, the gaming industry has pretty much given up on local multiplayer. Online is enjoyable at points, but you will encounter connection problems more often than you do with local multiplayer. And plus, there's nothing more satisfying than being surrounded by a bunch of your friends as you're all playing a game and everyone's screaming like monkeys when somebody dies, wins, does something really awesome. It's just much more enjoyable than sitting on the couch and playing against a bunch of people online that you don't know or care to know. Number 3, bring in the Clone Wars and the era of the sequel trilogy. One of the cool things about Battlefront 2 is that you could play during the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War, and it made the game much bigger. And now with more Star Wars movies coming in, I think it's time we introduce the new era of Star Wars with the fight between the First Order and the Resistance. Imagine a Battlefront game where you can play in 3 different eras. The Galactic Republic, the Separatists, the Rebel Alliance, the Galactic Empire, the First Order, and the Resistance. That would be awesome to play in different eras of the Star Wars movies. Number 4, space combat. Space combat was one of the coolest features in Battlefront 2, and one of the PSP games introduced a mechanic where you could take an X-Wing from the planet's surface and fly up into space and board a Star Destroyer. For a PSP game, that's something really cool. And granted, the maps that do support fighters are huge, so you don't have to worry about running into things. It would be nice to go up into space and board a Star Destroyer. I want these new Battlefront games to reintroduce space combat and fully introduce ground-to-space transitions. And number 5, bring back Galactic Conquest. One of my favorite modes in Battlefront 2 was Galactic Conquest, where basically it's a turn-based mode where either you on your own, or you and a friend, or you versus a friend, go around the entire galaxy, conquer each planet, until you've conquered the entire galaxy. It's a really fun mode that I think if there's no campaign in future Battlefront games, at least bring back Galactic Conquest. And that's my review for Star Wars Battlefront. Don't expect any more video game reviews. I'm only doing this because it was a special occasion. So until then, leave a comment and tell me what your thoughts are on the game. What do you think? What do you want to see added in the future Star Wars Battlefront games? Like, subscribe, share me with your friends. Don't forget to check out my official website, therealmrrobinson.com. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, and Periscope. Also, look for me on Geeked Out Nation and PowerTale TV. And this is The Real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.